Many fashion brand origin stories involve borrowing money from friends or taking out loans.
However, what if you simply sold your car?
Before he became interested in fashion, Giorgio Armani was studying medicine. However, he began his fashion line by selling his Volkswagen Beetle.
Of course, as soon as he had enough money, he bought it back. But how did this man, whose finances were shaky, manage to grow a $9.6 billion company? Each and every one of the amazing origin stories of successful entrepreneurs begins with the moment the business is born. Thankfully, it is July 11, 1934. Hugo Armani and Maria Raimondi welcomed Giorgio Armani into the world as their second child. They brought him up in the Italian village of Pisa alongside his younger sister Rosanna and older brother Sergio. His parents taught him to be humble, and because his family was not wealthy, he had to work hard for everything. Hugo Armani, Giorgio's father, worked as an accountant for a shipping company to support their family, but things got very tough during the war.
Most kids are unsure of their career goals when they grow up. Giorgio Armani, however, was an exception. After reading A.J. Cronin's The Citadel, Giorgio Armani became interested in human anatomy when he started secondary school. At a young age, his fascination led him to decide to pursue a career in medicine. Giorgio Armani enrolled in the University of Milan's Department of Medicine in order to pursue his dreams. Giorgio Armani put a lot of effort into 1950 to fulfill his childhood ambition of becoming a doctor. However, he started to question himself after 3 years of medical school. Giorgio Armani put his studies on hold and resigned from the University of Milan in 1953. He enlisted in the military in the hopes that he could use the time there to determine his future goals. Because of his background in medicine, Giorgio Armani was not assigned to fight in any war zones while he was in the military. For his 2 years of military service, he traveled to Verona and worked in a hospital there. After spending time in the hospital, Giorgio came to the conclusion that he did not want to become a doctor. So he gave up on his studies entirely and left the military. Following his failures as a medical student and a soldier, Giorgio Armani felt disappointed in himself. After leaving the military, he returned to Milan and made the decision to try looking for work in a different industry, aside from medicine. Italy was still experiencing the effects of World War II in 1953. Additionally, the parliamentary estimate indicated that 24% of Italian families were struggling to make ends meet. Giorgio Armani, unfortunately, needed a job outside of medicine during this same year. He had a very difficult time finding a job that would accept him without a proper background because the economy was in trouble. Giorgio Armani persisted, and he eventually secured employment in Milan as a window dresser at a department store called La Rinascente. Giorgio worked as a window dresser for a while before his dedication was noticed and he was given the opportunity to advance to the position of seller in La Rino's menswear department. Giorgio Armani's interest in fashion started to grow at this point. As he suggested clothing to the men who frequented the department store every day, his interest grew even stronger. Giorgio Armani started working as a buyer for La Rinascente in 1957, but after 7 years there, he made the decision to leave in order to focus on his fashion career. He would meet the person whose actions would forever alter his life as a result of this choice. Giorgio had never designed or made an outfit before quitting his job at the department store. He therefore sought to study under someone who could mold him into the Cerruti who was imagined in the early 1960s. I joined Nino Cerruti's hit series company, where he used his previous experience as a menswear salesman to create simple, series reproducible menswear. As a result of Giorgio Armani's clothing's success in the market, Nino Cerruti was appointed head of the menswear department and quickly rose to prominence within the business. Giorgio hoped that more people would wear his creations. While employed by Nino Cerruti, he worked as a freelance fashion designer for 10 additional businesses. As a result, Giorgio Armani's name became well known throughout the Italian male fashion industry for the next 10 years. Giorgio was developing his abilities and reputation as a fashion designer even while he was employed by an organization.
Someone showed interest in him, and this would mark the beginning of a lovely relationship.
Giorgio Armani first met Sergio Galeotti, the person who would forever alter his life, in the latter half of the 1960s.
Sergio Galeotti is a young architect from Italy with experience at several firms. He got to know Giorgio Armani at the time. The two got along well despite their young age, and developed a personal as well as professional relationship.
Giorgio Armani was persuaded to open a design studio in Milan by Sergio Galeotti, who had faith in his abilities. Giorgio Armani left his position at Hitman in 1973 and chose to become a self-employed designer, giving him the flexibility to work with any fashion house he desired.
The best fashion houses in Milan worked with Armani. He created patterns for clothing manufacturers Allegri Bagutta, Hilton Sicons, Gibo, Montenegro, and Tondres, among others. His creations were so well received by the public that they caught the interest of the media worldwide.
Giorgio developed his look by drawing on his experience as a self-employed fashion designer.
There was only one place for Armani to demonstrate the value of his brand because the world press was already interested in him. The Sala Bianca in the Pitti Palace in Florence was to host a runway show, and the international press was there to cover the event.
Following the success of the runway show, Giorgio used this fashion show to establish his significance in the fashion industry, which helped his brand achieve greater success than he had anticipated. Giorgio Armani signed on with Sergio Galeotti's label under his influence.
Given the popularity of his designs on the runway, Giorgio Armani has been working as a freelance designer for a while. His clothing was in great demand.
Giorgio Armani was now the focus of interest from global fashion enthusiasts and possessed the skills required to develop his look. Before the brand even launched, the stage was already set, and these indications pointed to success.
However, Giorgio Armani lacked the capital to launch his company. Never giving up on his friend, Giorgio Galeotti. He persisted, suggesting that Giorgio sell his Volkswagen Beetle so he could launch his clothing line.
Giorgio Armani sold his Volkswagen Beetle in 1970 and partnered with Sergio Galeotti to launch his fashion label.
Sergio oversaw the business operations as Armani focused on clothing design and production when they first established the Giorgio Armani Corporation.
Armani introduced its first men's luxury ready-to-wear line the same year.
The line was extremely popular, and the following year, Armani debuted a women's ready-to-wear line that was also well received. Armani is known as the inventor of red carpet attire, but even though Giorgio Armani's collections were well liked in Europe, they did not become extremely well liked in America till the 1980s.
Giorgio Armani started creating his opulent ready-to-wear collections for men and women in the United States in 1979.
Due in large part to the fact that nobody had ever heard of him before, his label quickly rose to the top of the American fashion industry.
Giorgio Armani featured some new products, including Giorgio Armani pants, swimwear, and accessories, showing that they did not intend to stop at clothing fashion.
However, the Giorgio Armani Corporation also provided a chance for the brand to thrive, and that was through Hollywood red carpet events.
Giorgio started creating costumes for Miami Vice, a well-liked television program. Further film collaborations became possible as a result. People started keeping an eye out for Armani's creations on the red carpet. The next 10 years would see Hollywood A-listers sporting Armani on the red carpet. Armani was now in the spotlight, and Giorgio made good use of it. Giorgio Armani used the interest from Hollywood and the rest of America to launch a business line called Power Suits.
This was possible because of his company's success, which attracted the attention of other companies.
Many people were very interested in the collection because it included sections for both men and women. Check out our other videos like this one on our channel, and be sure to like this one.